y'all. It's Gemini Jazz with House of Chiron. I'm just here for the good news, honey. We are back with an episode of Transit Talk. So this week we have a lot of different retrogrades going on. I believe just this week we have 3. We have Venus, we have Saturn, and we have Jupiter going retrograde. Pluto is already retrograde at this time. And plus with the North Node moving into Gemini, all of these things, it's a lot of energy to go over and discuss. So this video in particular will be about Venus going retrograde, and Venus goes retrograde on the 13th, so May 13th, and it will be retrograde until June 25th. So we have about a good 6 weeks of Venus being retrograde. Now let's talk about what Venus is. Venus, the planet, what it represents. It's of course love. It's the earth. It is also things of beauty. It is the things that, bring pleasure, the senses. It's your touch, your taste, your sight, the smell, the sound. So it's all those pleasurable things, including, partnership, but as well as like food, the things that feel good to you. It's the aesthetics. That is Venus. Venus also is representative of your values as well as your money, because your self-worth is connected directly to your net worth, believe it or not. So with Venus being in retrograde, this is going to bring a highlight and a review of our values, our material possessions, as well as our connections and our relationships as well. It is going to also be bringing forth some type of energy to help us understand what it is that we're relating, how it is that we are relating. Because Venus is in the sign of Gemini right now, and Gemini is the sign of relating, and it's the sign of duality. So how are we in relation to the things that we value? Not only to the things that we value within ourselves, but what we value in others, as well as our environment, our immediate family, our community, because that is all Gemini. Gemini is also it governs the small business as well. So this is a great time, and you might see this in the collective, you might see this in society, where local and small businesses become more prominent, especially in goods and services that are connected to the Venusian things, such as food, beauty, art, music, the earth. We could also see a more focus on agriculture, because Venus rules the earth as well. So we can see that energy, like an intense focus of things, really more so, because not only do we have Venus in the sign of Gemini, we now have the North Node in Gemini, and I will link the video link for that. I have a video on North Node, South Node in Gemini and Sagittarius. So I will link that in the description box below. But we have the North Node in Gemini also. So it's bringing an intense focus of these energies as well. So this is more so what we are destined, because the North Node is more so like your destined focus. So with the North Node in Gemini giving us this intense focus on what it is that we want to feel. And how is it that we're feeling internally in regards to our values and the things that we desire? How can we manifest that outwardly? So that is what this Venus retrograde energy is going to be doing, bringing forth new ways to relate to ourselves, others, as well as the earth and our environment as well. So also, Gemini is the ruling sign of your neighbors. So we could be really manifesting neighbors that we can relate to more so, that's very like us, just, neighbors that you like. So if you are in a process of moving, you might actually move to a space and you might actually enjoy your neighbors. You're going to be more in a connection, a like connection with like-minded spirits and like-minded souls. Because it's all about the community. That's Gemini. Gemini is about the community as well, and it's your immediate environment. So the question that we should really be focused on during this 6-week transit is that, what is it that we are truly valuing? Where are our values? And how can we show up in our integrity to align to those values? So if you are wanting a certain look for your life. You are wanting a certain thing. What is it that you are wanting to feel from that experience? And then from there, what is it that you value? How can you align your integrity with those values so that way your life can show up in the way that you desire? And so we also have a transit that's going to be there, that's going to be highlighting some other things with this energy. So with Venus going retrograde, being there for 6 weeks, we're going to have Neptune making this square to Venus the entire time. We have already been feeling this energy with the Venus square Neptune, and it is going to possibly bring, it could bring several things. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. So with this energy, you could also have some confusing information because Gemini is information. Neptune can bring illusions, but Neptune also can bring insight, intuition, spiritual pursuits. So we could have some confusing information, some confusing communications. This is an invitation for us to research and respond rather than react. So process the information that you're getting, doing your research, and then making a response and determining what is the best response instead of reacting. Do not react off, emotion. Just kind of process, use thought and maturity and within the information that you are getting, so that way you can have a just response to that. Also, knowing that there is always more to be revealed. That is also what this Neptune, Venus square Neptune energy is going to bring in us. This is the growth that is coming from this energy, because squares, yes, they can be challenging, true, but they're challenging so they can promote growth in us. So the growth that is coming from this will be knowing that there's always more to be revealed. There's always more to the story. There's always more to be seen. So just patience in allowing things to manifest and show themselves fully. There could be some deceptive energies that are present because Neptune, Pisces energy, but it does not mean that you will automatically be deceived by others. That is a possibility. I'm not Xing that out. It is possible. But you also will be shown how have you been deceiving yourself in regards to your values and what it is that you truly want and desire, as well as in your life. How are you really just not in alignment? This is about that integrity that I spoke about. And so Neptune equals like escapism. Neptune is also victimhood. Neptune Pisces, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So Neptune Pisces is also the martyr complex, like, sacrificing yourself kind of energy. So keep that in mind as well. So know that these deceptive energies and these Neptune energies, as well as overindulgence in all of these things, you can really be overindulgent, escapism, victimhood, martyr complex, and all of these things could occur at the same time. But on the bright side of these things, we are being shown where we are not aligned to our truth. Because Neptune Pisces energy is cosmic law. So how are you not aligned to the cosmic law? And all of these things are being brought to the forefront and brought to the light to where we can truly align with what it is that we value and where it is that we are trying to go for our futures. Venus in Gemini rules the nervous system. So with Venus in Gemini squaring Neptune, there's a chance for your mood to be affected, whether you are going to be happy, feeling joyous, your anxieties, all of those things. But on the bright side, Neptune can also be dissolving, because Neptune dissolves certain energy. So this could also bring a resolution to the anxieties that you have been feeling in regards to things that you value, what it is that you want, possibly your money, your financial situation, something within your partnership or relationships that could be going on, bringing some anxiety or some worry. It could be bringing forth something, some type of situation to where it will resolve these things, and you will not have the anxiety. It will just completely dissolve the situation. And so you could also find this energy. You can also find the way to dissolve your anxiety through spiritual practices, because Neptune Pisces, because Neptune is in the sign of Pisces, it is of the spiritual practices. It is of the spiritual pursuits. So Also keep in mind that this is highlighting different ways that we are perceiving ourselves and how are we perceiving our presence, right? How are we truly, exuding who it is that we are, because that's being in alignment with your values. Are you being deceptive in who you are? Are you truly showing who it is that you are? So how are you not only perceiving others, but how are you perceiving yourself in your presence? And realizing where you are showing up in this energy through the collective consciousness, because Neptune and Pisces is also collective consciousness. That is the consciousness of all of us. So we're going to go into the sign by sign at this time, because that's all that I have for the overview for us all, for Venus in retrograde. So sign by sign is going to be really briefly. I'm not going to go into really deep detail, but start with your rising, and I'm going to start with Aries. So Aries, you will have Venus retrograding in your third house of immediate family. It could be your siblings, it could be your neighbors, communications, your thought process, small business, short distance travel. So you can see a review or some type of reflection, maybe learning something, having some type of challenge that comes up that's going to promote growth within this area. So keep that in mind. Moving on to Taurus. Taurus rising, you will have Venus retrograding in your second house of values, partnerships. So this is the ruling house of Venus, and it will be retrograde. So you could have some things come up that's going to really show you where your values are. There could be something that comes up in regards to your money, your finances, possibly some maybe you want to beautify something in your home or in your environment. Also within partnerships. So just say, for instance, this is a possibility for everyone that Venus retrograde brings exes back. So just keep that in mind as well. But, with it transiting your second house, that is a high possibility. So with Gemini rising, this will be going retrograde in your first house of yourself. So the first house is the house of the self. It is your projection outwardly to the world. So you are going to really have a review on what it is that you value in your presence. That's the thing I was just speaking about. Your presence. How are you exuding yourself? Are you creating these illusions, and are you not necessarily projecting your truest self? Are you deceiving yourself in who you are and how you want to show up, from a day to day? So Cancer and Cancer rising, this will be retrograde in your 12th house of spirituality. This is also the house of the unconscious, the subconscious. So you could really be diving into some new spiritual pursuits, trying to find a new way of a spiritual practice that you have been interested in, and this could really bring forth something new for you to review and go over. You could be revisiting an old spiritual practice or something of that kind, possibly getting into some therapy as well. You could be looking into that. So it's going to be bringing forth where it is that you value in your subconscious beliefs. You could be healing through some things subconsciously. You could also really have some deep dreams, some really intuitive dreams that could really some healing through your dreams, and having an understanding of what is your next direction, your next steps. Okay, so for Leo and Leo rising, this will be retrograde in your 11th house of social networks, your long-term goals, your hopes and wishes, your material gains. And so this is going to bring forth a review of what it is that you truly value in the long term. What is that you want to obtain for the long term, as well as who is of value in your life as well. Connecting to some social group that you may have once connected to before that brought forth a lot of growth. You could be reconnecting with that energy, or you could be starting a group that you feel is going to help you in your long-term goal, maybe like an online group or something of that sort. Or it could very well be that you have already started a group and now you're going to be revising it and thinking of a new way of showing up in that group or in a group that you're already in. as well as like showcasing your values more so. Could possibly be making some money as well from that. Okay, so now we're moving on to Virgo rising. Virgo, Venus will be retrograde in your 10th house, and that is the house of your career and your public image. So this retrograde will really bring forth who it is that you are in your career. It is going to have you reviewing and having a better understanding of how you want to connect and relate to others in regards to your public appearance as well as in your career. You could be really reviewing what it is that you do for a living, really thinking about making more money in your career, possibly working from home, or even the job that you are at, looking for a change because you don't feel that you get enough recognition. So at this time, you could be reviewing some things, on those levels, on the career aspect. Okay, and for Libra and Libra rising, this is retrograde in your 9th house of your beliefs. That's the higher mind. Is also higher education, as well as long distance travel. So you could really be having a longing for getting out and traveling, wanting to do something more, have more adventure, something spontaneous. You could really be missing that at this time. We're all quarantined for the most part. We have been for a while, and we're slowly starting to open up. Collectively we're all opening up. And so you could really start thinking about having the money and having the finances set in place to where you can start having some adventures, because you're now seeing the value in getting out, seeing the value as well as in education and learning something, as well as your beliefs. And how do you relate to others? You could be really in a sense of wanting to connect with a friend from a faraway place at this time. So moving on to Scorpio. Scorpio rising. This is retrograde in your 8th house. So Venus will be retrograde in your 8th house of resources that are obtained through other people. This is also shared resources, intimate relationships. This is karma. This is debt. The 8th house is the house of so many things. So you could really be reviewing how to remove debt, how to get your finances in order, possibly how are you making money through other people, finding new ways to do these things, finding the value in relating to others so that way it can bring in other sources of income. And how the new income or the multiple streams of income can help you set a foundation or get rid of certain debts and whatnot. This is also the house of the psychology, so possibly having therapy on your mind could be a thing at this time as well, just taking the value in your mental health. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. This will be retrograde in your 7th house. The 7th house is the house of partnerships, marriage, and contracts. So you could really be trying to see the value in a partnership that you may have currently existing, or really seeing that there is value within partnership, and really reviewing what it is that you find valuable within partnership and relating to others. And just kind of setting the tone for that, seeing how it is that you have been showing up as an individual to attract certain energies, and what it is that you want, what values that you want, really checking your integrity. Remember, I mentioned that before, checking your integrity so that way your actions are now in alignment with what it is that you truly desire. So Capricorn and Capricorn rising, this will be retrograde in your 6th house of work, routine, and ritual, as well as public service and health. So you could really get back into a health regimen, picking up a new way of, working out. You could possibly set a new schedule to where you are now putting your work routine, your workout routine, as well as your public service to others all in alignment, and just really figuring out what it is that you want to do in work. You could also find the value in your employer and seeing if this is really in alignment with your values. You could also be looking for a new job at this time, or it just have been really on your mind. So over this next 6 weeks, you're going to be really finding the value in what it is that you want to do in regards to your daily routines and rituals. So Aquarius and Aquarius rising, Venus will be retrograde in your 5th house of fun, hobbies, romance, the inner child, children, your joy, your self-expression, creativity. So you could really start finding some value in expressing yourself through your creative pursuits, just finding joy, looking to what brings you joy, and really thinking about doing that when it's time to actually pursue those things. Things just coming up to show you at this time where you have not truly been enjoying yourself, and you could really be tapping into some inner child healing by getting back into the things that once brought you joy, getting back into that adventure. You could also be doing some public speaking, you know, just expressing yourself through the arts, expressing yourself through whatever it is your creative pursuit is. It could be music, it could be anything. You know, Leo, they are the famous sign of the zodiac. So you could really be showing yourself at this time, or feeling the need that you find value in your self-expression, as well as, you know, that bringing joy. There is a possibility for you to find romance during this time, or maybe an old romantic partner could come back. I'm just saying, it's possible for all of us at this time. So Pisces and Pisces rising, this Venus retrograde will be transiting your 4th house, and that's the house of home, family. That is your foundations, that is your influences. Also the house of the woman, your mother, just the mother in general. Could also be Mother Earth, you know. So you are really going to be finding value in setting solid foundations, finding value in the women in your life, and just time is taking a time to really sit with the feminine energy that is present, and aligning to that, to where you are having some integrity in your values and what it is that you want within your foundations. It could also be possibly a move that is happening. You could be looking into moving somewhere new, setting a new foundation, possibly building the foundation to a new home at this time. Really focus on your mother, focus on your mother energy as well, and yeah, just find the value within that. So that is all that I have for you all today for this transit talk. I hope this has been helpful. Check the link in my description if you want to check the South Node, North Node, Gemini Sagittarius transit that we are currently under, as well as all the other information that I provide. Like, share, subscribe, and if this has been helpful, please leave me a comment.